Hello once again, everyone. I want to start by thanking all of you for the positive reception and feedback on the first sorting video. I was glad to see that more people than just myself enjoyed both Harry Potter and 40k. Today, we're going to be sorting even more 40k characters into their houses, and I think you'll be excited to see who I've chosen. I've gotten some suggestions from you guys, as well as some of my favorite characters that I think will be fan favorites, and you'll want to see them sorted. Before we start, I'm changing up the structure a bit. Since we are dealing with more than one faction at a time, I'm going to start by introducing the houses and then sort each of the characters into their own house. That way we don't have to do a bunch of introductions from different factions and races and then get confused and make everything messy. So first, the houses and then the characters. As a brief reminder, these are the virtues of each of the Hogwarts houses, what they value, and how we'll be trying to match them up to each character in order to get them sorted. First is Gryffindor, who values daring, nerve, chivalry, courage, bravery, and determination. They are represented by a lion, and their house colors are scarlet and gold. And also, just to add some extra elements to take into account, in case a character is towing the line between two houses, Gryffindor's element is fire. Their common room is located in Gryffindor Tower and is accessed via speaking the correct password to the fat lady whose painting covers the entrance to the common room. And then lastly, their house ghost is nearly headless Nick.
Nearly headless? How can you be nearly headless?
Like this.
Generally, I will stick to the house traits, but this additional information may come in handy if we get stuck. Moving on. Ravenclaw is the next house. They value wit, a desire to learn, wisdom, acceptance, intelligence, and creativity. They are represented by an eagle on their crest, and their house colors are blue and bronze. The element for House Ravenclaw is air, and their common room is located in the highest room of Ravenclaw Tower and is accessed by answering a riddle, and also their house ghost is the Grey Lady. The third Hogwarts house is Slytherin. Virtues of Slytherins are to be cunning, ambitious, resourceful, have determination, pride, self-preservation, and shrewdness. Which that last one sounds like a negative trait, but the actual definition of shrewd is just having the sharp power of judgment, so you could just say having good judgment skills. Slytherin is represented by, wait for it, a serpent, and their house colors are green and silver. The element of the Slither Boys is water, and their common room is located in the dungeons of Hogwarts and is notably located underwater in the lake adjacent to the castle, which causes the room to have this greenish glow as the water shines through the windows of the dungeon. And lastly, their house ghost is the Bloody Baron. And we mustn't forget our final house, Hufflepuff. Hufflepuffs value loyalty, justice, hard workers, patience, fairness, and modesty. Their house animal is the badger, and their colors are that of the hit Wiz Khalifa song released on September 14th, 2010. Their element is earth, and they are located in the Hogwarts basement, which is somehow distinct from the Hogwarts dungeon. I guess there's less chains or something. I don't know.
Was a time detention would find you hanging by your thumbs in the dungeons. God, I miss the screaming.
They are located next to the kitchens as well, and you enter the common room by locating a stack of barrels in the basement and tapping the correct barrel in the rhythm of the tune of Helga Hufflepuff. I'm not sure if this means the rhythm of her name or if there's a code associated with it, but that's how you do it. Hufflepuff's house ghost is the Fat Friar, and with that, we conclude our section of the Hogwarts houses lore. Now it is time to begin the sorting and reveal our first character. The first character comes from a comment that one of you left on the previous sorting video. Thank you very much, by the way. It is the Chaos God Malice. I knew Malice would be likely a pop-up. I even considered putting them in the first video as a bit of a extra character to end it, but I decided to keep it strictly to the main four. Malice is an odd character. There's basically no lore about them, and they never pop up in any books or codexes, but despite that, they are pretty much universally loved by the fan base. And before Vashdor popped up, Malice was considered to be like the 5th Chaos God, basically. There are thousands of Chaos Gods, but next up God, the next most powerful, if that makes sense. Malice is commonly referred to as the outcast god or the lost god. Only the most unhinged, evil, and depraved cultists dare worship Malice. Malice is also hated by the other gods due to their parasitical nature. You see, Malice feeds off of the energy of the other chaos gods. Whenever any of the others grow more powerful, so does Malice. Malice and those who follow their deranged master invoke absolute chaos upon the galaxy, with no discernible rhyme or reason behind their actions. Malice is the embodiment of chaos and anarchy. To know Malice is to be free from the chains of sanity, to cast adrift purpose, and to embrace pure hedonism. So how do we sort such a character? With no purpose, no ambitions? Why, we simply look at what is not there. Calculate the negative. Immediately, we can eliminate Slytherin, since one of their core tenets is ambition and another is self-preservation, neither of which Malice would tolerate. Hufflepuff is also easily removed from the contest. Loyalty, justice, and fairness are poison to Malice. So we are left with the lion and the eagle. And I think to sort Malice, we must look to the other chaotic characters from Harry Potter. And specifically, the closest we can find to absolute chaos is none other than Barty Crouch Jr., the man who betrayed and murdered his own father, who survived Azkaban, and who impersonated Moody for an entire year and taught at Hogwarts, taught his own enemies the tools they needed to defeat him, who transfigured his father's corpse into a bone and discarded it among the dirt. This is as close to pure chaos as we can find in the wizarding world. And what house does this madman belong to? None other than wise Ravenclaw. And if we go back to Ravenclaw's virtues, two that stand out to me in this situation are acceptance and wisdom. Acceptance of absolute chaos and the wisdom to know that anything that shackles, whether that be a cause, a belief, a purpose, is actually a weakness in disguise. So our first character, Malice, is sorted into Ravenclaw. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Our next character is probably the most well-known in all of 40k, and that is none other than the savior of mankind himself, the Emperor, now God Emperor of mankind.
Let me see what kind of pigment your corporeal container has, and I will figuratively pour acid salt all over it.
Unlike Malice over there, Big E is full of purpose. He is the embodiment of long-term planning, guiding humanity along a course of survival for eons. Even in death, as a corpse sitting atop the Golden Throne, his job is not finished. The Emperor of Mankind, or now the God Emperor of Mankind, is a perplexing anomaly. While his goals and ambitions are generally known, even if we don't know how he plans to achieve them, very little is known about the man himself. We know not his name, what he truly looks like besides his psychic projection, if he is alive, if he truly serves mankind or is using our race to ascend to godhood, if he is benevolent or malevolent. And this is subtly terrifying. In the book Master of Mankind, one of the Custodes, the Emperor's personal guard, asks Ra, the most trusted Custodes, if he has ever even seen the Emperor breathe, and Ra has no answer for him. The Emperor is an enigma unto himself, but despite this, I think his sorting is relatively simple, especially compared to Malice. We will accept 3 facts about Big E. 1. He has worked his entire life, dedicated millennia to expanding and preserving mankind. 2. He sacrificed his life, or at least his human life, to defeat Horus during the Siege of Terra, ruining his body in the process. And 3. He is possibly the worst father of all time. Okay, that last one isn't terribly important, but it is true. Using all this information, I think it is abundantly clear that the Emperor of Mankind is sorted squarely into Hufflepuff. Not what you were expecting? Let me break it down. Okay, now let me explain. The Emperor sacrificing himself goes against self-preservation, so no Slytherin. He is not chivalrous, nor is he daring. He does what he does not out of duty or honor, but because he knows it must be done to ensure the survival of humanity. This eliminates Gryffindor. He is wise and intelligent, but acceptance is not something I would associate with the God Emperor. I would describe him as hardworking, patient, and modest. Modest, you might say. That's insane. just look at his house for God's sake. But remember that all the decadence and grandiose architecture is to represent the power and stability of the Imperium's infrastructure. The Emperor himself does not crave these things, and thus, I believe Hufflepuff is where the Emperor belongs. And now for something completely different. Space bugs.
Ugh. Brother, ugh. What's that?
The Tyranids. I decided to sort all of the Nids as one entity. I know they do have named characters, but they are all connected to the hive mind anyway, so we're just gonna lump all these bio-eaters into one house. Now, sorting these ravenous creatures might be a little tricky, but let's talk about their lore a bit first. And the best way to explain the Tyranids is to see them from the eyes who stand against them. And plus, I won't miss the opportunity to recite one of my favorite quotes in all of 40k from Inquisitor Savak, and it reads as follows. There is a cancer eating away at the Imperium. With each decade, it advances deeper, leaving drained, dead worlds in its wake. This horror, this abomination, has thought and purpose which functions on an unimaginable galactic scale. And all we can do is try to stop the swarms of bioengineered monsters it unleashes upon us by instinct. We have given the horror a name to salve our fears. We call it the Tyranid race, but if it is aware of us at all, it must know us only as prey. The Tyranids are an extragalactic threat. Swarms of vile insectoid abominations swarm the Milky Way from numerous entry points. They feed on the biomass of worlds, consuming all life from the birds in the sky to the oceans themselves, leaving any world unlucky enough to be in their path as nothing but a dead rock once they're done with it, moving on through the void of space to consume yet another world and another and another until our entire galaxy is devoid of life, at which point they will move on and begin the cycle again in another galaxy where those poor souls will be consumed by the horrors created and by the flesh of our people that they have devoured and used to grow even more numerous. The Nids are a super cool faction to speculate on. What's their purpose? Do they have a higher authority? Are they just a locust swarm that has grown out of control? What are their origins? Were they created or did they evolve naturally? What is the hive mind? Are they gathering resources for some far off race or just for themselves? We don't know any of these answers, and that makes them fascinating. I will probably make a video speculating on popular Tyranid theories sometime in the future, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to put a 1,000-year-old talking hat on top of the hive mind's head, goddammit. And honestly, I think this one's all too obvious. We don't even need much speculation. The Tyranids are getting sorted into Slytherin. Resourcefulness, determination, and self-preservation literally describe the Tyranids' entire purpose for existing. They live to consume, they consume to live. Endless cycle. The only thing I don't like about this sorting is the house animal being a serpent, which small snakes typically eat bugs, so that's kind of ironic that the space bugs would be in the snake house. But hey, listen, the match works way too perfectly to not put them in Slytherin. So the big scary grasshoppers are gonna be wearing green and silver from now on. And I don't know about you, but I'm kind of tired about talking about gods and the unknowable creatures of the abyss. So let's just talk about a normal ass dude for a bit.
It says you're a heretic!
Colonel Commissar Ibram Gaunt is one of the most prominent guardsmen in the setting. Full disclosure, I've only read the first 4 Gaunt's Ghost novels, so if he has any major character changes after that point, it will not be taken into account. Gaunt is a rare case in the Imperium. First, he is both a colonel and a commissar, being both a political figure and a military one forces him to toe a very tight line, having to balance both his command and career. But he is also not the type of person to waste lives, a character trait extremely rare in the Imperium, especially among the commissars, who typically put just as many bullets into their own troops as they do the enemy, for morale of course. But Gaunt learned early in his career that showing love and loyalty to your men can create a fighting force with the strength of 1,000 from a force of only 10. Gaunt commands the 10th, first and only, the Gaunt's Ghosts, a regiment pulled from the now dead world of Tanith, meaning that they can never reinforce their ranks from their home planet. When a ghost falls in combat, they are lost forever. But now, old Gaunt has decided to turn heretic and practice sorcery at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. So the question now comes, what house will the righteous commissar be placed into? Well, immediately you may think Slytherin due to his ambition as an officer and resourcefulness as a commander, but I don't think Gaunt is really one for self-preservation. He's the type of leader to put himself in danger along with his men. And while not a stupid man, I don't think he's extremely intelligent either, often relying on his latent psychic abilities to help him make decisions. So Gaunt won't be making any trips into Ravenclaw Tower. But one virtue all Imperium soldiers must possess if they are planning to face down the Xenos hordes is bravery, something Gaunt has in spades. He is also not lacking in courage and chivalry either. Plenty of nerve to defy general commands when it puts his men in danger, and a fair bit of courage as well. Now, I think it's all too obvious that Ibram Gaunt belongs in Scarlet and Gold. So our Colonel Commissar goes to Gryffindor. And our final sorting comes in the form of a 2-for-1. None other than the twin gods themselves, the green-skinned menaces, Gork and Mork.
Sounds like orc mischief to me.
Gork and Mork are the gods of the Orcs in 40k. And if you are unaware what Orcs are, in 40k, Orcs are a fungus. Not being metaphorical here, they are literally plants. And the Orcs are more or less the spores of this fungus that use battle and carnage to spread across the galaxy. The Orcs don't believe in much besides a good stomping, but they do have their twin pantheon of Gork and Mork. Now there's a very important distinction here, okay? Listen carefully. Gork is brutal, but cunning, while Mork is cunning, but brutal. This may sound like just a meme, but it's actually an important distinction. You see, Gork is for all those greenskins who admire the more traditional way of orc life, a life of clobbering, smashing, killing, and pummeling, while Mork is for the weird boys, the orcs who terrify Imperium leaders, orcs who do not rush the battlefield, but brood and plan in secret, the green-skinned thinkers, who, if you were ever so unlucky to look upon them, you would see a dark intelligence behind their eyes. So how do we sort this devious pair? Well, Gork doesn't have much of a personality, so he becomes a little difficult. All we know is that he loves a good crumpin', but we do know that he loves a good crumpin'. With life simplified down to the base desire for those who follow Gork are nothing if not filled with purpose and joy. And I think this lands Gork right into Gryffindor. Courage and bravery are all you need to ascend the ranks of the Orc if it is Gork who you follow. That and a big shooter. Plus, you'll be ascending the ranks even faster if you use some of that Gryffindor Scarlet on your shock jump dragster. Now for Mork. Well, he's a little more interesting. While you may immediately think both of these gods belong in the same house, you would be sorely mistaken, because Mork has all the clear signs of the makings of a great Slytherin. Cunning, ambition, resourcefulness. Mork might as well be the embodiment of the Serpent House. And how could there be a more fitting house than the green one for the green-skinned race? So that leaves Mork in Slytherin. And there you have it. Another batch of students sorted. Look at them getting along at their house tables.
I had 2 bullets in my
Well, they'll grow into each other. Thank you so much for watching once again. I don't think another sorting video will come up for a while, but I do have some 40k content planned if you guys are interested, and possibly some Harry Potter content. If you guys want that, I'm happy to write some of that as well. The next sorting will be the Primarchs. I've got to get out some ideas I've been working on before we go back to sorting. So feel free to drop your thoughts for any other sort of 40k or Harry Potter video in the comments. Keep those Gellerfields charged, and I'll see you next time.